Hi, it's Edward, back with another video. Please take a moment to click the thumbs up button below and consider subscribing to the channel. Thank you for your support. As many of you know, Ozzy Osbourne passed away today at age 76. Far too young, in my opinion. Such a tragic loss of life. My heart goes out to his family members and his fans. He entertained countless people throughout his long career. He had such an interesting life. Many of you probably don't know his real name. It's John Michael Osbourne. Growing up, he hated school. This may have something to do with the fact that he had undiagnosed dyslexia and ADHD. I was a public school teacher once, and there were a lot of students that had ADHD. At times, it was very challenging to work with those young folks. It was hard to keep them on task. I often had the principal or assistant principal stopping by the classroom and wondering why all of the students were not paying close attention to what we were learning about that day. Some of those administrators were too far removed from the classroom. They forgot how difficult it was to maintain classroom management at times. Anyway, getting back to Ozzy Osbourne. He got the nickname Ozzy in school at a young age. He actually left school at age 15, and he tried working as a plumber for a while, but he was fired. At age 17, he was arrested for breaking into a clothing store. He was sentenced to 3 months in jail, but he got out after 6 weeks for good behavior. I really found that to be quite interesting, because a lot of other rock stars talked about how he always had bad behavior off stage. He was known for being a big partier and getting into a lot of trouble, sometimes at hotels or resorts. So it's really interesting that he got out of jail after just 6 weeks for good behavior. He worked at a factory tuning car horns. Can you imagine having that job, trying to tune the horn for a car? I think that would be incredibly boring. Now, there came a turning point in his life when he got a Beatles album and he became obsessed with that band. He thought to himself, if they can be successful, so can I. Well, turns out he actually did become quite successful later in life. At one point, Ozzy worked at a slaughterhouse, and he would even steal cow eyes and use them for pranks outside of work. I heard that he once put a cow eye in someone's drink. Now, he really wanted to get into the music business after he became interested in the Beatles, and he affiliated with a couple different bands, but things really didn't pan out for him early on. One of his successful bands was called Earth, and his bandmates were sitting around talking about how the general public likes to go to horror films. And so they decided to write some darker music because they thought the general public would be interested in that type of entertainment since they were so fascinated with going to horror films. Well, his band called Earth found out there was another band with that name. So they changed the name of the band to Black Sabbath. And in January 1970, they signed their first record deal. Ozzy gave his first paycheck to his mother. I thought that was really sweet. Now, their first album was called Black Sabbath, and it hit number 23 in the US. And Black Sabbath split all of their money 4 ways. Think about how different that is than a lot of businesses today. The business owner keeps the lion's share of the money, and the employees get a small sliver if they're lucky. Now, Black Sabbath's next album was partially recorded, but they needed one last song to complete it. So they quickly wrote the song called Paranoid. And they liked the name of that song so much, they decided to name the album after it. Now, their subsequent albums made a lot of money, and it launched them into the stratosphere as celebrities. They started hanging out with a lot of famous musicians after that. Eventually, Black Sabbath fired Ozzy Osbourne. That happened in 1979. And he was really depressed after he got fired from the band. Fortunately, Sharon Osbourne came to visit him and said her and her father wanted to manage him as a solo artist. Well, they helped to launch his solo career. So Sharon Osbourne introduced him to Randy Rhoads, and the two of them started collaborating. And they wrote Ozzy's first solo song together. Sharon also introduced Ozzy to his bassist. Then The Blizzard of Oz was written, and it became a huge success. Then Diary of a Madman was written, and around this time, Ozzy got divorced from his first wife, who he had several children with. Well, his solo career took off, and he eventually married Sharon in 1982. Well, the rest is history. Ozzy went on to make a ton of money, and he didn't just make money from album sales or touring. He also made money from merchandise. And later in life, he made money from the Osbournes television series, which first aired in 2002. I always thought that was quite interesting. I remember watching a few of the first episodes. A lot of people in America were infatuated with what life was like in Ozzy Osbourne's household. He and Sharon and their children made a lot of money from the Osbourne series. Not from the first season, but from subsequent seasons when Sharon was able to negotiate some really large payments. At Ozzy Osbourne's death, he was said to have an estimated net worth of $220 million. Now here's what's interesting. His last show with Black Sabbath, which just happened recently, made approximately $190 million. And I read that money went to charity. Can you imagine one show with Black Sabbath generating $190 million? Unbelievable. Passing away at age 76 is far too young in my opinion. I have a lot of friends who are older than that. It really puts into perspective for you how fragile life is. Many of my older friends are dealing with a lot of health issues. One of my friends has extreme vertigo, another has cancer, another has spinal issues. The list goes on and on. Most of them spend their days going back and forth to medical specialists and dealing with a lot of pain. None are as famous as Ozzy, but they have all made meaningful contributions to this world. Have you ever thought about what you've contributed to this world? What will people say about you when you pass away someday? I'm curious if any of you have ever considered recording a video for people to watch after you die. Some people pass away unexpectedly, and I think some of your heirs might like watching a video where you share some heartfelt messages with them. I kind of got this idea watching an old movie from the 1980s called Brewster's Millions. In that movie, Richard Pryor plays a baseball player, and he has a great uncle named Rupert Horn. He's never met this guy, but he finds out he was extremely wealthy. So He gets called to this law firm. They sit down in a conference room, and the partners of the law firm play a recorded video of his late great uncle, Rupert Horn, who provides a little bit of information about his life and then presents Richard Pryor with an offer. He can have $1 million in cash, tax-free as an inheritance, or he can step up to the plate to pursue a challenge where he can try to spend $30 million in 30 days without collecting any assets. If he is successful, he will get his full inheritance of $300 million. But if he fails, he gets no money at all. It's really an interesting movie if you've never seen it. My whole point of telling you this story is that his late great uncle, Rupert Horn, recorded a video before he passed away, and then he had this law firm share the video with Richard Pryor. I thought it was a good idea to record a video before your death for the benefit of the family members that you leave behind. It may help some of them deal with the loss. Some of them probably would love to hear your voice and see your face again. Being able to watch that video might really help some of them. I'm curious if you know anyone who's ever done that. If you do, tell me about it in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing to the channel. I want to extend a special thanks to everyone who has subscribed to this channel. I want to also thank all of my channel members. If you would like to become a channel member, there is a link in the description beneath this video. You can read more about the different membership levels. Please also check out some of the great books I suggest you consider reading in the description below. I've included Amazon affiliate links to these books. As an Amazon associate, I earn from qualifying purchases. Stay healthy and wealthy. I'll see everyone in the next video.